Điện Biên Phủ người ta biết quân trở về giữa mùa này hoa nở miền Tây có bốn mai này ta luôn giữa đường đua đi trong Việt Nam hết trái giữa đồng nắng hay xe hoa học những chiến thắng ta biết về rằng không thể quên cho bao mình vượt qua sông đại bác quân là vì cha đàn hương hương chắc chắn là vì cha biết bao sương mù lên đầy bắc bao nào lúc không là trở về giờ thiết chúng ta đã về đôi hùng đất chúng ta biết về đôi sông hùng lên đất với ta sáng ngời khi tầm điện biên.
The South is also suffering widespread social upheaval and violence. Nguyen La Croix.
We had our own problems in the South. Violence from competing religions and organized crime. But Dien stamped it out. He got rid of Emperor Bao Dai and made himself head of state, and with the help of the Americans, imposed his regime on the
French base, Dien Bien Phu, and cited the Australian headquarters were the focus for the main battle position. Complex of 5 strongholds, codenamed François, artillery and mortars, light tanks, and fighter bombers. By early March 1954, 49,000 Viet Minh had deployed around Dien Bien Phu. 3 infantry divisions and 2 regiments were supported by the field guns of the 351st Heavy Division on the hills to the east, and by heavy mortars on the side. Although the outpost Isabelle was still in French hands, it was by now cut off from the central stronghold at Dien Bien Phu. Besieged by the Viet Minh 304th Division, Isabelle was under heavy artillery fire. Though attacked time and time again, the post would fail out until the very end of the battle.
Giải phóng miền Tây, của người ta đã mau trưởng thành, thắng trận Điện Biên, làm tim cái tâm ở kia. Đổ mồ hôi qua núi Bắc Cầu vượt rừng qua sói đất tròn người về đây. Đừng chân đánh chắc ta tiến lên, đừng vào ta, quân cùng mấy không phải ta. Có lượng tiếng súng vì hùng công, hóa lòng ta dâng bác bấy lâu chờ mong. Tiếp ta sương vui nhưng về nơi đây, lần thắng hai thì chúng ta trở về. Đất chúng ta đã về, vui mừng đón chúng ta tiến về.
Secretly, their ducks were in a thinking leading right out to the French perimeter. The fight final Viet Minh assault came on the night of May 1st, 1954.
The leader of the Indo-Chinese Communist Party is a 48-year-old Vietnamese exile. His name, Ho Chi Minh. Soviet documentary maker Roman Carmen films him and his supporters in 1954. In an address at the founding of the Indo-Chinese Communist Party, Ho Chi Minh.
World War II will soon break out. When it happens, the French imperialists will certainly drive our people to a more horrible slaughter. However, their barbarous oppression and ruthless exploitation have awakened our compatriots. Everywhere, the masses have risen, the oppressors have risen to oppose the French imperialists.
Government in control in many parts of the country, reprisals begin against those who are thought to have collaborated with the French and Japanese. Ngo Yen Xuan Phong, who will later become a senior diplomat, describes what happened to his family.
Of course, they imprisoned all the landowners. Anyone who had any kind of function under French rule. My grandfather was jailed because he was a village chief. Luckily, my uncle was at school with the Vietnamese leader and went to see him. He said, "Why did you put my father in jail? He is harmless. He hasn't done anything cruel." So he was released after a few days.
Phong's grandfather is one of the lucky ones. Many are killed as the Viet Minh deals ruthlessly with those they call collaborators.
shamelessly, without a single word of protest. As a result, our people suffer under a double burden. They serve not only as buffaloes and horses to the French invaders, but also to the Japanese. What sin has our people committed to be doomed to such a wretched plight?
As the pro-Vichy French authorities administer Indochina under the watchful eye of the Japanese army, Ho Chi Minh and a small band of fellow revolutionaries set up camp in a remote region across the Vietnamese border in China. One of them is a 29-year-old intellectual, Võ Nguyên Giáp.
When we were in Vietnam, Uncle Ho came and discussed with us the preparations for the task ahead when we return to our country. He said, "In the current situation, national security becomes all the more important. We must organize a broad national front. We had better call it the Vietnamese Independence League. But that's a long name. We'll shorten it to Viet Minh. People will remember that."
During their exile, Ho Chi Minh takes a prophetic decision about Giap's role.
Uncle Ho asked about organizing a national liberation army. Turning to me, he said, "This you should carry out. Can you do that?" I answered, "Yes, I'll do that." Then he said, "We are still weak. The enemy is strong. But we must not let them annihilate us."
An East German propaganda film showing North Vietnamese soldiers in training. The leader of the North's armed forces, General Giap, is building a revolutionary army.
Our military art
is to defeat material force with moral force. Defeat what is strong with what is weak. Defeat what is modern with what is primitive. And defeat the modern armies of imperialism with the people's patriotism and determination to carry out a revolution.
Compatriots, rise up to fight the French and the Japanese.
In late 1944, as the Japanese Empire in Asia begins to crumble under the overwhelming onslaught of Allied forces, Giap launches a general insurrection throughout Vietnam. By the middle of 1945, he has risen to the rank of general at the head of a force of 10,000 men. But fighting the Japanese is costly. General Giap.
Then came the terror. Whole families were arrested, their houses burned. Villages were razed to the ground. Those who had revolutionary papers were shot, beheaded, or had their arms cut off and displayed in the marketplace. Thousands of piastres were offered as a reward to those who brought in a revolutionary's head. We knew the struggle would be long and bitter. As early as 1941, Uncle Ho had warned us that the fight against the Japanese was only the beginning. He knew that the British and the Americans had the same motives as the French. They were all imperialists.
Realized that Dien Bien Phu would make or break us.
US supplied B-26 bombers dropped on enemy positions. The French garrison below is outnumbered 4-1 by a Viet Minh army 50,000 strong, which completely encircles it. General Giap, late November 1953.
Our scouts at Dien Bien Phu send daily reports. The enemy is parachuting in soldiers, weapons, and a huge amount of barbed wire. They are industriously repairing the old Japanese airstrip. The French generals have announced, this is not a raid. We have taken this place, and we intend to stay. So be it.
Soviet director Roman Carmen is given total access to Giap's army to help him tell the story of the battle. The French have made a critical error, assuming that Dien Bien Phu is safe from attack by heavy armor and artillery. General Giap.
I ordered our 351st Engineering Artillery Division to toil day and night to widen the 82-kilometer trail to Dien Bien Phu for our motorized vehicles. Then they built a 15-kilometer track through the mountains so we could haul our artillery to the front by hand.
French appoint Colonel Christian de Castries as commander of Dien Bien Phu. The battle that will be remembered by the veterans as 55 days of hell. On July 22nd, 1954, Ho Chi Minh speaks to the Democratic Republic of Vietnam, the new nation north of the 17th parallel.
We have achieved many glorious victories. We have achieved this great victory. The French government has recognized the sovereignty of our nation and that their troops will leave our country. From now on, we must concentrate all our efforts on the struggle to achieve unity and the complete independence of our entire country.
Ho Chi Minh's revolutionary government introduces draconian Stalinist economic reforms and applies communist principles ruthlessly. People are mobilized for huge reconstruction programs. Saigon journalist Võ
Hundreds of thousands of people came south, especially anyone with land.
a bastion of communism, allied to the Soviet Union and China, stares across the divide from the north. In the south, the bulwark of the West, sponsored by the United States, glares back. It will take 20 years of suffering and death before the confrontation that will soon engulf the people of Vietnam comes to an end. The Viet Minh officer.
It took us about 45 days. We marched at night and rested during the day. Sometimes we just slept on the roadside and dug our own foxholes against enemy attacks from the air.
Viet Minh captain Chun Van Ho.
The French were physically bigger and had many weapons. But we had something we could use against them. Our courage. We were determined to fight until the end because they came here to steal our land.
March 13th, 1954. The assault on the French stronghold Dien Bien Phu begins.
Not resolve the threat to their airfield. Their porcupine defense had lost a vital element, its strength in the air. They could only reinforce their units with parachute drops, and they could not get their wounded out. Their camp had only 40 beds in its medical unit, and they had already hundreds of wounded. This was the French command's nightmare.
Amid gruesome scenes, reminiscent of the trench warfare and mass infantry attacks of the First World War, the death toll rises. There are countless acts of heroism on both sides as the Battle of Dien Bien Phu becomes part of military folklore. It also becomes a glorious victory for Vietnam, a shameful defeat for the French. French resistance ends on May 7th. Giap orders a full-scale infantry attack. De Castries radios Colonel CİNH at headquarters in Hanoi. The Viets are everywhere. The situation is very grave. I feel the end is approaching. General Giap.
Tonight, we will attack the porcupine's eye and finish it off.
Late in the afternoon, Giap hears the fateful news from his 312th Division.
All enemy soldiers in the command post have surrendered. We have arrested the Castries. Suddenly, everyone in the headquarters shouted, clapped their hands and hugged one another. They jumped for joy like children. Some people cried, others stood with their mouths gaping. The faces of others turned pale with shock.
French commander de Castries, who has been promoted to brigadier general during the battle, becomes a prisoner of war. He will be released after 4 months. One of the lucky ones. 1,500 men under his command are dead. Several thousand more are wounded. The Red Cross evacuates a fortunate few hundred of Vietnamese 10,000 prisoners. But most are force-marched to prisoner of war camps hundreds of kilometers away. Less than 4,000 will survive to being repatriated to France. Casualties are 15,000 wounded and 8,000 dead. A compromise is reached at the Geneva Conference and signed on July 21st, 1954. A ceasefire is to take effect in the temporary division of French and Vietnamese forces is to be created at the 17th hour. Elections to unify Vietnam are to take place within 2 years. The independence of Laos and Cambodia is confirmed. Stars across the divide from the north. In the south, the war of the West, sponsored by the United States, blares black. That will soon engulf the people of Vietnam. victory at Dien Bien Phu creates a wave of euphoria across the country. Not Andrew, a civil servant in the French administration.
At first, we couldn't believe it. The Europeans, so big and strong, with all their tanks and aeroplanes, beaten by us. Humble little beginners. Farmers, school teachers, factory workers. We were so proud.
The red flag of revolution flying proudly to mark the Vietnam victory. The West's anxieties about the march of communism are reinforced, especially in the opening of the Korean War.
The success of the revolution in China had created a balance of power between East and West. The war on the Korean Peninsula was evidence of this new world situation. Until now, our war was still a battle between the peoples of Indochina and France. The United States was determined to replace France in Indochina, but the situation did not allow the US to jump directly into war. It might develop into a second Korean War, in which there was no guarantee of victory for the US, and it would not be easy for them to draw in allies already exhausted from Korea.